Getting blight on your tomatoes can actually ruin the entire year's harvest. We're dealing with it this year, and we actually want to show you how you can fix it for next year, how you can prevent it, and how we can actually work it this year to make sure that we can get some harvest. Hey, and what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Farm Dream. My name is Raymond, and today we're talking about blight. Now, blight, in this case, late blight, is a disease that happens on potatoes and tomatoes. It is actually different than many other diseases because it spreads really easily and it affects the fruits more. Usually, a plant disease only affects the leaves or the stems, but this is a plant killer. Now, the name of the fungi actually suggests a lot because it's called Phytophthora Infestans, if I'm saying that correctly. Phytophthora meaning plant destroyer. It's a Latin word, and it actually tells you that you need to get rid of it as soon as you can. We are actually dealing with the fungi in the front and the backyard, so it is a bit much. But the reason for it being really simple, we had a lot of rainfall, like day after day after day. And that can create the fungi. It likes to live in like a cool and a wet, humid place, and that's exactly what it got. Now you might be able to tell right next to me that we actually have this plant over here which is really crowded and we didn't prune it enough. And that's actually a big cause. It needs to have a lot of airflow to make sure that the blight doesn't stay on your leaves. You need to be able to dry the leaves, and that's basically what didn't happen here. But we can still do some work on this plant. The blight is very minimal and we can probably still save it. How does this fungi get on your plants? Like I said, it's the humid conditions, but also it is water splashing from the bottom onto your leaves. And we didn't really do a good job to make sure that we cut down the bottom leaves on this plant here. So there's a lot laying on the floor. The fungi is usually on the soil and splashes up onto the leaves and builds its way up all the way to the top. Now that we know what causes the fungi, we need to try to prevent it and also take care of the issue we've got going right now. And this is something that I actually found on the Am I Gardening channel. Great channel if you need any content on gardening. What he was suggesting was something that we have in our cupboards, like everywhere around the world, and it is baking soda. Now his suggestion was using gallons, but in the Netherlands we don't use gallons, we use liters. 1 gallon is about 3.75 liters. I got this canister over here, which is 1.75 if I fill it all the way to the top. So that's what we're gonna go with. It's about half of what we need. He suggested 1 gallon is gonna be 2 tablespoons of baking soda, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oils, and 3 tablespoons of dishwashing soap. Now, since I don't have that big of a jug, we're just gonna cut it in half. Let's mix this into a pressurized water canister and spray our plants. Now it is best to spray this mixture on before it actually happens, so before the fungi starts. A good way to know when it might happen is when you have a lot of rain in the forecast. So if there's a lot of rain coming, spray this mixture on, prevent the fungi from being able to reach your plants. You're probably wondering why there is vegetable oil in this mixture, and that's mainly to make sure that it stays on the leaves a little bit better. So I can feel now that it's a little bit oily, and the oil actually prevents the water to just run off, and it keeps it on the leaves for a little bit longer. Now, before I'm gonna spray the liquid on, of course we need to prune this a little bit. We need to get out all the branches and make sure there's better airflow, so let's start with that. Now that the pruning is done, we can actually start spraying our plant. It is important you either do this early in the morning or later in the night, not in the full sun. It is quite early right now, but the sun is getting higher and higher, so I need to hurry up. But make sure you spray everything really well. Now a few days have gone by, and actually we were able to save these plants. So we have 1 cherry tomato and 1 meat tomato here, beef tomato, and they are really doing really well. I keep on pruning all the leaves that are going bad, but there's very little now. So we are getting harvest, our tomatoes are getting ready. So really happy with this side of the garden, really happy that it worked out. Like I said in the beginning, if you treat it early, on time, or prevent it before it actually happens, you'll have a great harvest. Now the back garden sadly is a different story. Yeah, they're all out. we had a lot of cherry tomatoes and a lot of normal tomatoes, meat tomatoes, beef tomatoes, whatever you want to call them. They're all out. The blight took over. We had to take them all out. It was crazy, and there was just not much we could do. So this is what happens when you are too late and in the front garden. You can definitely see if you are on time, you can still fix the issue. Now, we're dealing with all this soil here. How can we actually make sure we can still use this next year? There are going to be 3 things that you could do about this. First one is picking blight-resistant tomatoes for next year. This will definitely help, but you have to make sure you pick the right variety for your climate, because it could still very well be that they are late blight resistant but not early blight resistant. So make sure that you know which crop you get, but that's a very good option. The second option is going to be solarization. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's actually just tarping off your land. Now there is a step-by-step process for that. Now if you want to have more information about that, I will leave a link in the description on how you can do that. And the third option is going to be crop rotation. So it's really important that if you have a blight issue and you can't fix it with the first 2 options, that you just go and crop something else. There are many plants that won't have any issues with blight, basically only tomatoes and potatoes. Keep away from those and plant something else in there. And there you have it, all you need to know to fix your blight problem. So the most important thing, to sum it all up, is basically preventing it. Spray the solution on there as soon as you can, as soon as you notice any blight, or even before you notice it, and you'll be sure to make sure you tackle blight. All right, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, consider subscribing, and don't forget to live the farm dream.